Bill Belichick. What a dive. From coaching in the Super Bowl every year to cringy Carolina cradle-robbing crash-outs. Don't you let some little girl dog grab a hold of you like that, Arthur. Making a fool out of you in public like that? We're breaking down the New Orleans Saints draft and taking a close look at the 2025 LSU football offense. I'm Ruddy Rutledge, and this here is some Bayou football. A lot of conniving girl dogs out there, Arthur. Arthur got a girl. She's a mean little bitch. She's a mean little bitch. Oh, yes, she is. Welcome all to episode 18 of the Bayou Football Video Podcast. I'm Ruddy Rutledge, and he is the main character, Arthur the Bayou Party Dog. Girl dogs, you can find him on Instagram at Arthur the Party Dog. The NFL Draft took place last weekend, but thanks to our delightfully unreliable and spectacularly craptastic internet service up here in Balcomville, Louisiana, we were inexplicably without internet for 3 straight days this past week, so we're behind with our draft breakdown. But it is here nonetheless. I won't reveal the name of this internet service provider, for the simple reason being we'd like to do business with them. We'd like them to advertise with us someday. Well, actually, this day. You people know who you are, and you can consider this a shakedown on this show right now. DM us on X or visit us at our Contact Us page at BayouFootball.com. Let's work something out, or else. The positions we find ourselves in, how circumstances can change at the drop of a dime or a wireless router signal. Am I a sellout now? Even though I haven't actually sold out yet? NFL Draft. For the Saints of New Orleans, with the new coaching and support staff now fully intact, this year's draft brought hope to a franchise that hasn't had much to cheer about for the past several seasons. Of course, hope is always a big thing for NFL teams at draft time, and it often carries over into the week after the draft, like right now, post-draft. And it's that way for almost all the teams in the league. A certain level of excitement sets in, excluding the Browns, the Jets, and the Jaguars. Y'all have no hope, no matter what you tell yourselves out loud, and no matter how well you think you drafted. Some things never change. But for most fans, no matter how bad your team stunk last season, no matter how badly your boys shat that bed, you feel pretty good this week. Most of us anyway, with some exceptions. Because you feel like your team just killed it in the draft, brought in a bunch of super talented athletes, and as far as you can tell, after watching some YouTube videos, these guys all should have been college All-Americans, every single one of them. And they're all eventually going to be Pro Bowlers. And eventually they'll be Hall of Famers. And we'll have to build another wing onto our team Hall of Fame for all the trophies and accolades and awards this one draft class will generate. Yep, post-draft, a lot of fans are suddenly feeling really confident once again. Feeling themselves, or their teams. Well, feeling themselves, too. Way too much feeling of themselves, if you ask me. And for the Saints, this was the all-important first draft of a new coaching regime, the Kellen Moore era. So, post-draft, a week later, how we feeling? How's it simmering? Got a QB? We knew going in the situation with Derek Carr, whether or not he's faking an injury, I really don't think he is. But the whole thing still seems just irreparable to me. The situation. I don't think Derek Carr should ever set foot inside the Saints facility again. Dollars and cents be damned. I don't think it's salvageable. You have a new coach in the house. You have 3 young quarterbacks that have been drafted 3 consecutive years now. But then you have Saints general manager Mickey Loomis, who really complicated this matter to the nth degree a few months ago when he restructured Carr, restructuring his massive deal, making it impossible to cut him before the end of the 26th season without forking out $60 million. This organization. What if Carr just shows up to camp and he's like, I got quarterback. I'm all-time quarterback. Do we know he's not going to do that? Does anybody know? Loomis says if he's healthy, Carr's the quarterback. I don't believe that. Now, I've been very critical of Loomis, justifiably, for his draft practice of packaging picks to trade up and reach for a player who ends up never working out. And if it had happened just once or twice, that'd be one thing. But it was pretty much a guarantee, based on his track record, that Loomis and the Saints would package picks and move up at some point in the draft. Guaranteed. Guaranteed. If you ever watched old Cajun chef Justin Wilson, then you know. Guarantee. Well, this year, that didn't happen. This year, the guarantee came with a deceptive warranty. Loomis broke the trend. This year, the Saints did the smart thing for once. They made all 9 of their picks. They brought in a big group of rookies, some of whom will hopefully earn some starting positions on this team this year. That's what the Saints need with their old-ass roster and their bloated salary cap, their bloated-ass payroll. They need more starters playing out their first contract in the league. That's why draft capital is so precious. It helps keep your roster young and affordable. New Orleans finally used draft capital in a smart, resourceful manner this year. Was it perfect? Absolutely not. But at least they appeared to have a plan, and they stuck to it. That's the thing about the draft. You can do everything right on paper. You can bring in the players that ideally should fill your needs position-wise. You can do right by everything as a general manager or team leader, franchise official, seemingly. And yet, one day, 3 or 4 years from now, when you're sitting on the toilet in the team facility at 5:30 in the morning, battling explosive diarrhea, you are suddenly hit right in the face with the stunning realization that you drafted terribly that year, years ago. You thought you had knocked it out of the park, but none of those players you brought in brought any value to your organization, unless, of course, you could quantify failure and disappointment as tangible equity. And so you basically took a big stack of your owner's money and lit it on fire. So yeah, nobody knows. These prospects have proven nothing at this level, the highest level of football. It's all just a prediction at this point. 100%. Well, not the fact that you will have the runs again someday. That's not a prediction. In the words of the late, great Justin Wilson, that's a guarantee. As the evening rain settles in, Arthur enjoys his supper with an ice-cold Miller High Life to wash it down. Not so heavy-handed with that beer, Arthur. Back to the Saints of New Orleans. Getting into some of their notable additions here and how they fit in. At number 9 overall, they took offensive tackle Kelvin Banks out of Texas. Was wise to pass on a quarterback here in an extremely weak quarterback class. Going O-line is never a bad strategy as far as I'm concerned. Pissed off a lot of the dumb Saints fans, though. The mouth breathers. and the little internet shit goblins that want to go wide receiver, quarterback, or running back every pick. There's a saying that everybody wants to have a great offensive line, but nobody wants to draft one. It's not sexy. It's not flashy, not fun, but it's essential. With the first-round pick from last year, Taliesin Fuaga, appearing to have one tackle spot claimed, the Saints decided in this spot to just go ahead and shore up the other side of that O-line. And although it wasn't the quarterback or the big receiver a lot of people wanted in this spot, New Orleans made an excellent pick here. Regardless of shit goblin disapproval, now you have your pair of bookend tackles. That's a foundation for a young, offensive-minded head coach who will likely be working with a young, inexperienced quarterback in his first year. And that makes for the perfect transition to the Saints' second pick, quarterback Tyler Shough from Louisville by way of Oregon and Texas Tech. At pick number 40, he became the highest quarterback drafted by the Saints since 1970. 26 years old, 7 years of college football, or 7 years in college football. He didn't play all of those years. I don't see the age as an issue, at least not for a quarterback. Other positions, sure, but quarterbacks can play a long time, and in the case of Shough, he's going to come right in and compete to start right away with Spencer Rattler. Immediately. And about that, the starting quarterback job. I'm just putting my hands over my ears saying, please, no Derek Carr. Derek Carr is not coming back. Derek Carr is not coming back. Repeat. Derek Carr is not coming back. Now that this pick has been made, it's time to move on. Like I said, dollars and cents be damned. Big quarterback, Shough. Comparable body type to Josh Allen and Justin Herbert, 6'5", hand cannon for an arm, 4'6", 40. Has an injury history, rather extensive injury history. Longer one than I'd prefer for a second-round quarterback. But he's fought through all these injuries, and he had a great senior season. And none of these injuries are the type that should linger. So we know he's tough and resilient to go along with all of his impressive athletic measurables. But oh, please, Saints fans, please keep digging for new ways to dump on this guy. Ever since the Saints picked him, the Who Dat Nation has been all over the place with the response. Wide range of opinions all across the board. A lot of heated disagreements between fans and some disagreements between media over this pick. And that's fine, great. But then, of course, there's always going to be those Saints fans that have to just completely embarrass themselves. Personally attacking Shough on his personal social media with insults. You morons. Empty-headed little douchebag asswipes embarrassing yourselves. Archie Manning thinks it was a great pick, but Who Dat Man 673 feels compelled to get on Shough's personal socials and tell him he's complete ass. Thank you for your contribution, Mr. 673. Yes, there are some bad plays on Shough's tape. There's also some serious dimes, too. Shucked by Shough. Given the circumstances, another thing added onto this, you have to think that Tyler Shough was Kellen Moore's personal choice. And because of that alone, I'm fine with this pick. He's got incredible raw arm talent, probably better than anybody in the division. Definitely better than anybody on this team. It hasn't been stated flat out that Moore made the pick, but he had to be allowed to have some type of a say. in his quarterback, especially in a draft scenario like this. He's a former quarterback himself. I would think it had to be an issue that was discussed before he even took this job. He's successfully coordinated 3 different NFL offenses. It would be the height of stupidity to force a quarterback on him that he didn't want. Of course, who are we talking about here regarding height of stupidity? Who are we talking about? How many NFL franchises do you know of that have traded their entire draft for a single player? And that one player, an overrated, out-of-shape running back who was crazier than crawfish at a crab boil. I can name one of those franchises that did that stupid shit. And for more on the Saints' new franchise quarterback, if any of you watched the video of the Saints draft night call to Shuck, you know that the first thing Kellen Moore said to Tyler Shuck on the phone call, first words out of the coach's mouth, "We love your adversity." We love your adversity? That's what he said first. Not, we love your strong arm, your quick release, not your 40 time, not your delivery, not your accuracy, not your Hall of Fame daddy coach. We love your adversity. Interesting choice of words that I thought revealed a lot about what traits and experiences the Saints' new head coach values in a franchise quarterback. Saints went on to make 7 more picks, believe it or not. They addressed multiple needs, as any team coming off a terrible season and a coach firing should be doing. As a matter of fact, they did not package any picks and trade up. I shit you not. You're welcome. However, the Saints did not address all their needs, and they still have issues. Now, there will always be harsh critics, but over the past week, I've seen a lot of praise being heaped on this Saints draft as a whole by some fans and some members of the media, the local media. And the common phrase that's being parroted is, they filled all their needs except a big wide receiver. I've heard that statement over and over and over. Well, there lies my biggest issue with this entire Saints draft. Why the hell didn't they get a big wide receiver? They needed a possession receiver. You had 9 picks to get one. You going to fill a glaring team need like this with an undrafted rookie free agent? Marcus Colston Part 2? Going to come along and swim up out of the river? Brandon Cook's little Kevin Hart looking ass going to gain 30 pounds of muscle and grow half a foot taller? Better sign a free agent, Mickey. But I shouldn't overreact. Loomis may have Amari Cooper signed and delivered and shucking oysters with Shuck by the time this recording is posted. Right. No, I think I'd just rather overreact. The picks I really liked, Quincy Riley, corner, 4th round pick. Sounds like he could be a rookie who picks it up quickly and gets out on the field right away. I think they nailed the Danny Stutzman pick in round 5, outside linebacker out of Oklahoma. Probably will not be getting out on the field right away, but could eventually be a replacement for Demario Davis down the road. And I like the running back, Devin Neal, in round 6, but so did everybody else. And I like the pass rusher in round 7, but so did everybody else. Are the Saints a better team this week than they were before the draft? Yes, I believe they are. Definitely younger. How much better? Impossible to say. But they now have a pair of bookend young offensive tackles, whereas they didn't before. And the new offensive-minded head coach has a rookie franchise quarterback to work with. Not a bad weekend on paper. But again, the draft on any given year is a to-be-continued story. And each draft can't be truly graded until years down the road. In the team facility at 5:30 in the morning, of course, suffering from explosive runs. All went well in the kitchen, and Arthur is back with us. Welcome back. How's it hanging? Don't worry, he's not going to answer that. Speaking of hanging, who would have thought Tony Vitello would be the slump buster for LSU baseball? The LSU football Tigers had 7 players drafted last weekend. No big surprise there. Offensive lineman Will Campbell led the way, went 4th overall to the Patriots. That made him the 6th LSU player to be drafted top 5 overall in the last 7 years, more than any other school during that span. Campbell joins Jaden Daniels, Derek Stingley, Jamar Chase, Joe Burrow, and Devin White in a distinguished group of Fighting Tiger NFLers. As for the current Tigers, they recently wrapped up spring ball, then picked up another transfer in defensive tackle Bernard Gooden, the number 1 player in the transfer portal when he committed. Gooden comes to Baton Rouge from South Florida and gives LSU another huge body up front at the point of attack. The Tiger D-line is becoming rather deep, and that's good because that's how the sausage is made in the Southeastern Conference. But today we're centering our laser Tiger focus on the other side of the ball. I mean, who doesn't want to hear about a high-powered aerial assault featuring the fastest receiving corps in all of college football? Yeah, I said the, and I'm going to say the again plenty of times between now and the season opener against Clemson. Arthur, you're going to have to wake up. The 2025 LSU offense will be commandeered by the senior quarterback, Garrett Nussmeier. There will be a lot of new faces on the offensive side of the ball, particularly up front. So today, we take a closer look and we formulated some questions. The biggest offseason questions for the LSU offense in 2025. Keep in mind, these are merely questions, not question marks. Yes, there is a little bit of a difference there. Question mark within this context is almost like calling something a weakness. Almost. And I'm not doing that. I'm not even almost doing that. These are just questions that we don't know the answers to for now. Number 1 involves pass protection. Specifically, can LSU's offensive tackles keep Nussmeier standing upright long enough to do his thing? You lost 4 starters on the offensive line. All 4 of them drafted. But replacing the 2 tackles, Campbell and Emory Jones, who both started since they were true freshmen, will be one of the major tasks for this LSU team, period. In the Tigers' open spring practice a few weeks ago, the biggest takeaway from that entire long afternoon was the LSU defensive ends, who were far from slouches, consistently whipping the offensive tackles and getting to the quarterbacks. Tyree Adams and Weston Davis, 2 talented, highly recruited, massive individuals, are the leading candidates to start at tackle, with Adams projected to replace Campbell at the left tackle spot. But there's a true freshman out there. He was here in the spring as an early enrollee, a 5-star recruit named Carius Kern, who might sneak up and shock some people this fall, much in the same way Campbell and Jones shocked the world as freshmen. Head coach Brian Kelly obviously has no issues starting one or even two true freshmen at tackle, so watch out for Kern. Now, I don't necessarily think LSU has problems with pass pro yet, and I'm not saying the Tiger offense is going to be exposed as massive frauds next fall. If you follow recruiting, you know there's not a position on this team that's been recruited more thoroughly than the offensive line. But these guys are all pretty much young and inexperienced right now. What I'm saying is, while this is an unsettled issue right now, there's a lot to work with here, and it could be a strength by the midway point of next season. Of course, we could all be wanting to break into the football offices and chainsaw Brian Kelly's head off by the midpoint of next season too. Question number 2. Can the LSU running game improve behind the new offensive line? Okay, LSU had the number 2 pass offense in the SEC last season. But the Tigers' rushing offense, anybody got an idea where they ranked? 16th out of 16 teams. So, last. But why? Why was that the case? Okay, well, the 4 starting offensive linemen I mentioned earlier that LSU has to replace, those guys all got drafted. So you had almost an entire offensive line last season basically with NFL talent, and they finished last in the SEC in rushing? Something doesn't add up. Something's fishy. Like my sister used to say when our mother started frying gar patties in the kitchen. Something smells fishy. So how was an offensive line that was stacked with future NFL-level players not able to run the ball? Please, my good balls and ballettes, do not make the mistake of thinking it's because of the offensive line coach. Seriously, not many assistant coaches, if any, I'd rather have out there in the country than Brad Davis coaching this O-line. So if it wasn't the talent and it wasn't the individual coaching, using process of elimination, I think the problem was with the LSU offensive scheme. Now, I'm not trying to be some X and O's expert. I mean, I can talk ball, but I'm not going to try to go Peyton Manning on here and get out the whiteboard and the marker. But Joe Sloan's offense last year, Joe Sloan is LSU's quarterbacks coach. He's done an outstanding job in that capacity, and he's also LSU's offensive coordinator, and his performance in that role left a lot to be desired last season, his first as an OC at this level. So what do I mean by the scheme was the problem? LSU's rushing numbers were better the year before, 2023, when they ran the same offense, basically. Had a different offensive coordinator, Mike Denbrock, but they were still operating exclusively from the shotgun. But they had a dual-threat quarterback in Jaden Daniels. But last year, with Nussmeier in there, you no longer have the dual threat at quarterback. You had no threat of the run, and that you're still trying to run the ball exclusively from the shotgun. Defenses didn't fear the quarterback run at the option mesh point, the handoff point. And they were able to go all in, keying on the LSU running backs. And so you had an immobile quarterback, immobile largely by choice, receiving the shotgun snap, handing the ball to a running back who's barely moving forward when he takes the handoff. No momentum. And the defensive ends don't respect the quarterback as a threat to run. Feels like we've already lost here, huh? Things improved a good deal, actually, when Caden Durham emerged as LSU's running back with his amazing vision and outstanding balance. but the Tigers still finished last in the SEC in rushing. And that's obviously not good enough. So maybe, just maybe, somebody, Brian Kelly, will say, or maybe already has said, you know what, maybe it's not such a good idea to do the exact same thing again this year we did last year with the exact same quarterback. Let's tweak this thing because you know it would be incredibly stupid not to. Again, I'm no film analyst, but it seems LSU needs to allow for more running plays with Nuss under center. Of course, you can't run the ball only from under center because then you'll be too predictable. And if the quarterback himself, Nussmeier, would be more willing to tuck the ball and run when he's got open grass in front of him, it would help this running game immensely. That's just two suggestions. But I'm not the $950,000 OC with a room full of smart football guys studying tape all hours of the night. Come up with something. Fix it. Make it happen. Question number 3. Again, these are questions and not necessarily question marks. We know the strength of this offense will be the passing game. But the question is, how good can they be? Just how explosive exactly can Nussmeier and the Tiger passing attack be? Does Nuss make the Joe Burrow, Jaden Daniels senior year leap into the Heisman verse? He will certainly not lack the weapons with which to do so. When you look at it on paper, it's hard to not be impressed at the sheer speed of this LSU receiving corps. You're bringing back Aaron Anderson, Chris Hilton, Xavion Thomas. All big contributors last year, all can fly. You brought in 2 outstanding transfer receivers, Berrien Brown from Kentucky, Nick Anderson from Oklahoma. And along with Aaron Anderson, I think these 2 may be the most complete wide receivers, the best all-around receivers on the team. I think they are. And you add another transfer in Destin Hill, who can also fly. And this isn't a speed thing, but you also have 2 formidable tight ends in Trades Green and Bauer Sharp, OU transfer. Then you throw in Caden Durham as a receiving threat out of the backfield. That's a lot of firepower. Some have raised the chemistry issue between quarterback and receiving group. Can Nuss develop chemistry with these new receivers in a short amount of time? Okay. Yes. He's already got chemistry with most of them. It's just the transfers that would be behind. I just don't see this as an issue. I'm certain there will be extensive off-season throwing sessions, and Nuss himself will facilitate them if he hasn't already. And everybody will learn each other and get to know each other just fine and dandy. Kumbaya, kumbaya. So yeah, should be at least a fun season. LSU will threaten defenses vertically, horizontally, 6 ways from Tuesday with explosive skilled players and a very confident quarterback who is, by all accounts, determined to leave a legacy here at Louisiana State University. Whether or not that Tiger quarterback's teammates can protect him and whether or not his teammates can run the ball effectively remains to be seen. Please like and subscribe on YouTube, follow us on X, and visit us at BayouFootball.com. For Arthur, the Bayou Party Dog, I'm Ruddy Rutledge. He is a real good boy, and this is some Bayou football.